Hi and welcome. It's Jessica Drummond here from the Integrative Women's Health Institute, and I am here with Dr. Tracy Southwick. She's a naturopathic physician down in Houston, Texas, and she is here to talk with us about the underlying emotional healing that often can help us with people's physiologic issues, especially when we hit a plateau or we're stuck, or even first to move through those physical issues more quickly and get faster healing. And the technique is called mind, body, spirit release. She's been doing this in her own clinic and now is launching a course and has taught this course to many practitioners in the past and is now more widely launching a digital course that any people can access from anywhere to teach practitioners this strategy for getting to the root cause emotionally of their clients' issues. So welcome, Tracy. Thanks so much for being here.
Oh, great. Thank you, Jessica. It's great to be here.
So tell me a little bit more about your background and what brought you to going from the physical medicine perspective to start digging deeper into emotional health.
Ah, wonderful. That is a long and kind of convoluted story, but it's been an amazing journey. So I've been in this field for 26 years now. I became a traditional naturopath in 99. So, I've been in this field for a long time. I always knew from the beginning, though, that there was a really important emotional aspect to illness that people just weren't addressing. I knew it in my own life. I knew it, I knew when I would go visit my father, I always had a sore throat. Wonderful man, but it was just odd. And I was like, I know there's something. And I just wasn't, being open and speaking my truth at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So there were things like that that would happen in my life. And I'd have clients come in and I'd say, they'd say, well, my son's been having these recurrent ear infections. And I would know to say to them, well, what does he not want to hear? Or, what's going on with your knee that maybe you don't want to move forward in life? But I didn't have the resources or the skills to help them with that other than just kind of presenting the information. I didn't know how to clear those kind of emotional blocks out of the body. And so, fast forward till about 2000, early 2000s, when I started to learn more about how to do emotional clearing. And by 2007, I had opened my clinic in Houston in the Heights. And it just kind of exploded, actually, even before then, when I started working with people on emotions. And I went, whoa, there's really something to this. So I started to work with it and develop my own technique. It took several years too, and with anything, it's still in development, right? I mean, we're learning stuff about ourselves and about other people, from our clients, from other practitioners, all the time. And so I'm always integrating that into what I'm doing, but it created this program or technique called mind, body, spirit release that we've been using in the clinic for a number of years now, just to help people, first of all, recognize the physical component or the physical component that's caused by the emotional issues they might be having or have had in the past, and helping them to let go of that so they can move forward. So it's been a great process.
And very interesting. And it definitely resonates with me, that idea that if someone's struggling with, a sore throat or a thyroid issue, that they're not using their voice or, stuck, don't want to move forward, those examples really resonate. And I would love to learn more about, so normally in our practice, if we discover that that's a challenge, we do one of two things. And one would be health coaching strategies. So the communication strategies to help people kind of just bring awareness to those issues. A lot of times they're just not even really aware.
Yeah.
And then they figure out some strategies for overcoming them, or we'll collaborate with someone and refer them for mental health therapy with a psychotherapist. So tell me more about what the techniques actually are to help people once they have awareness of the underlying emotional challenges that might relate to the physical symptoms. What do they do about it?
So that's a great question. And awareness is a huge part of it. So when we're talking about mind, body, spirit release, we're actually talking about tapping into the subconscious mind so we can figure out what has been going on beneath the surface. So 95% of what we do is governed by the subconscious mind. So most of the time we get ready for breakfast or for work, we brush our teeth, and sometimes we stop and go, I don't even remember doing that. Or I don't even remember the drive. I mean, those of you who are still driving to work, I don't even remember the drive home from work because you go on autopilot. And it's a great way to conserve energy in your brain because you're not having to think through every step. But the problem is because of trauma, and it does, I mean, when I say trauma, there's big T trauma, like a horrific event, and there's little T trauma, which is just, maybe the parent who said all your life, you're not going to be worth anything. You're not going to make it in life, and just that kind of repetitive,
Almost like chronic trauma, like
yes,
like chronic pressure on
yes,
someone's emotional system. Yeah.
exactly. And what that does is that creates, we hold on to those emotions. We hold on to those limiting beliefs. And then that when we're going through life, we actually start living out those beliefs because the conscious mind wants to prove the subconscious mind is correct. It's not a subconscious mind is not a logical thing. It creates habits and we live through those habits. And then when we're acting out of the conscious versus subconscious mind, the subconscious mind works about a third of a second faster. So that's why all of a sudden we've got a cookie to our mouth before we even realize that we said, I'm not going to have a cookie today. And so we develop those habits. So that's where awareness comes in, right? We need to be aware that we've got that habit or that subconscious belief, assuming we have the tools to become aware. Mm-hmm. And then what we do is we use a technique with a laser once we've uncovered those habits or those beliefs that are harming us and keeping us in patterns that are not healthy. We will uncover them, and then we use, there are different techniques that we use, but the main one is using a cold laser. We use a lot of frequency-based things that on specific points on the body and through specific or along specific meridian lines that help release the stress in that area. So it's not a difficult technique to learn, but it's a very specific way to help the body go, oh, I can let go of this. And when that happens, all of a sudden everything opens up. So if you think about an emotion like anger in the liver, because the liver very commonly will hold on to emotions like anger or rage or resentment. A lot of times I have people who can't detox. They don't detox very well, and they're holding a lot of anger and resentment in that liver. And so if you think about that, that's constricting, right? So the liver, the flow of toxins through the liver is not going to be very efficient. And once you help the body release that, it's like everything opens up and the body can just let things flow. The body's a flow system, right? And when we're holding on to things, it becomes toxic, emotions as well. Once we open that up, then toxins can flow out through the liver like they're supposed to. I mean, I have people who have dumped liver flukes after doing clearings, and they have dumped, gallstones, all kinds of parasites, coughed up parasites. I mean, I've had the craziest stories, but that's kind of a big part of what we're doing is we're helping release that congestion or helping our clients let go of that congestion so that the toxins can flow out and then the body can actually receive good nutrition and things that will benefit and build it up.
Excellent. So the idea is that essentially you're using those blocked or sluggish meridians or particular acupuncture points and then shifting the vibration, essentially the literal vibration underneath where, before the conscious mind really takes action. Yeah, that's really fascinating. And so tell me a story or two about, some of the clients that this would be most useful for.
That's a good question. I don't know that there's most useful
Mhm.
for anything
Mhm.
because there's so. I mean, the stories are just so varied, but it's just such a like in what what you do, Jessica. It's so rewarding just to see people move past things. Um, I let me think. I did one I actually already mentioned was the coughing up of a parasite. I had a client, actually, it was one of my practitioners had a client on a parasite cleanse, and really nothing was happening. And he's like, okay, well, well, whatever. And he had some lung issues, and he also had lost his wife a year prior, and so he had a lot of grief, and our lungs tend to hold a lot of grief. So this my practitioner, Sonia is her name. She actually facilitated a clearing on his lungs for emotions, grief being one of them, being trapped in his lungs. And within a couple of days, literally coughed up a 16-inch worm.
Wow,
I know that's
that's really
disgusting,
fascinating.
but I mean,
That's
it's pretty
disgusting and
cool.
fascinating. Yes,
It's pretty
yes.
cool. So that's one. I have another one. I had a client, this was early on when I was just starting to do emotional work. So this was probably 15, 17 years ago. And she came to me for something totally different. I can't remember what she came to me for, but I was testing, or we do a lot of energy testing, muscle testing to uncover what those emotional blocks are. So I'm energy testing her, and I come up with, well, you've got um, issues with an emotion caught in your lungs, and I think it was feeling suffocated. And so we
Mm-hmm.
cleared that. And she said, the next day she emailed me. It was back before we were texting much,
Yeah.
but next day she emailed me and said, "You're not going to believe this, but I've been training for a marathon, and I couldn't get to a certain level because every time I would sprint, I would get exercise induced asthma."
Mm.
And she said, and still to this day, she said it completely went away. She never had a problem with her asthma again after that. So I could have been throwing all kinds of lung support at her and changing her diet. She was already eating a really healthy diet. None of that stuff she had done prior was helping because she was really into natural health. But it just clearing out that emotion of feeling suffocated, allowed her body to let go of that restriction she was getting from the emotion.
That's fascinating. So, one final question I have for you. It feels like this sort of shortcuts through the process. Let's talk about the grief example, although
Mhm.
suffocation, same idea. Like, once you're aware that grief, and it sounds like there's a lot of Chinese medicine interacting with this, anger associated with the
Mhm.
liver, grief associated with the lungs. Once you're kind of aware of where these emotions are making your health more sluggish, and then
Mhm.
change in that vibration and support the meridians, do people still need, do they feel emotionally better, or is there also some value to then collaborating with mental health therapists? Like, does it just feel better, or is it a path to then heal the grief more cognitively, if that makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So, the way I describe it to people is really we're helping you with about 70% of it. And it has to be, I mean, you have to meet me there because you need to do the work too. So, we actually I'm teaching a course right now, finishing up a level 2 course right now. And one of the practitioners in the course actually had that question. She said, well, I have this one person, because I keep getting these great responses. This is what this person has said. This is what this person has said, and feeling, and all these amazing results. And then this one woman said, well, I have one woman that I facilitated 2 clearings for. And she said she's really not feeling anything. And so I started probing and asking questions. And she said, oh, no, she doesn't want to do the work. She
Mm.
just essentially is somebody who wanted just, okay, do it for me. And that doesn't work if you really want to take control of your health and you really want to be proactive and be a healthy person. You have to take some ownership of it. You have
Mhm.
to eat the healthy food, and you have to do the detox, and you have to exercise, but you also have to do that part. So what it does, exactly what you said, Jessica, it helps them process through it in a much more healthy manner. So it takes that physical aspect of it out, usually,
Mm.
of the picture, but it also helps the body process the emotional aspect of it um, in a healthier manner. Almost everybody says after a session, I feel like this huge weight's been lifted. So there's
Mhm.
definitely something that happens there in the moment, but it's something that it's good for them to process. So we usually teach our practitioners to teach people, whether it's using um, meditation techniques or breathing techniques, or we have journaling things. We're
Mhm.
supporting them. It's a process of supporting people through this, which is also very beneficial as you're taking them through like a nutritional protocol, to kind of pair those up, because we still work with a lot of nutritional stuff too. But all the practitioners that I'm now training come from all different walks of,
Mm.
some of
Mhm.
them are chiropractors, some of them are breathwork therapists, some of them are functional medicine. Actually, I would say that's probably the biggest bucket of
Mhm.
people we have are functional medicine practitioners. So, but it applies in any one of those instances. It actually can help the practitioner help their client reach their goals in a more effective and efficient way.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it's like you get the body physically prepared with nutritional protocols and sleep quality and movement and, supplementation, things like that. And then concurrently or before or
Mhm.
after, essentially doing a version of acupuncture or, supporting the meridians through a vibrational technique.
Mhm.
And then also sort of completing the healing by processing it in the ways that we would normally do with journaling and cognitive behavioral therapy and
Mhm.
breath work and mindfulness practices. And I think that's a really valuable insight that, we none of us, there's no magic wands,
Right.
but there are so many useful tools. And then when we can essentially make these processes of healing easier for people when they're at that place. And in health coaching, we talk about the stages of change when they're at that contemplative or action stages of change, and they're ready to start taking ownership of some of the healing as well. So it's a real,
Mhm.
partnership, which is nice.
It really is, and it's amazing. When people talk about holistic healing, holistic doesn't mean natural. It means you're dealing with the body as a whole. And so we actually, even in level 3, go into like spiritual stuff that's not connected to any particular religion, but it's understanding that we have to address all those aspects of a person for true healing, and it's creating the ability to help people reach that higher level, because you're only as healthy as your healthiest area of health. So
Yeah.
if you can raise that up concurrently, it's really amazing. And I can't tell you how many clients come to me or my practitioners and say, I'm a different person than I was, completely different person than I was, X number of months ago, because I've been able to go through this process.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We have in our coaching program, we have kind of this domains of change around, you know, everything from rest and strength and nourishment, but also perspective. Like, is someone have a belief that they can heal, and
Yes.
support and things that we need those intangibles, and we also need that willingness from the client to be a really active participant in the journey. So tell us a bit
Absolutely.
more about your course. I know the next session is starting pretty soon, and we'll give everyone the details of that. But tell us who this course is for, and can anyone around the world take it? Give me some of the details.
Okay, excellent. So yes, it's available to everyone. Although, so we have right now we have a Dubai. I've had people in as far away as Dubai,
Okay.
so Canada, the only caveat is it takes a little longer for the materials to get there, but they do get there. And the materials that are needed for the class, really, we don't start using them until the third session, the third
Okay.
week.
Okay.
So that's my long answer for yes, anybody can take it. It is, in terms of location, it is meant for people who are practitioners in the natural health world. So, like I said, we have breathwork therapists, we have a lot of, health coaches, a lot of functional medicine practitioners, psychotherapists, chiropractors. So that's kind of the, a large array of people take it. We just want somebody to have some kind of a background where they actually can understand it and get it and are passionate about that healing process. And we do have people that are concurrently getting a certification in another program as well. So they don't have to have that certification at the time, but they need to be demonstrating that they're actually working towards some kind of certification.
Okay. Yeah. And I could see how even, obviously nutritionists, physicians, PAs, NPs, but also physical and occupational therapists, if a lot of times those orthopedic injuries are the ones that are really some of the biggest, there are a lot of places where we hold emotion in the pelvis and the back, in the joints,
Absolutely. And that's actually one of the most fun things to see. And we have PAs, we have pharmacists as well. So we do have people that, really, really work with, different areas, but absolutely the joints. It's fun to see. We teach people how to clear, emotions from scars, from joints, from your spine, those kinds of things. So it really can apply to a lot of people. Another thing, and I'm just going to throw this out there because I think it's really important. One of the things that we work with our practitioners on are two things. One is clearing their own blocks. So this is a journey for the practitioners as well. So we help them clear their blocks to, it's something called vibrance, but it's your blocks to reaching the best level of health and success in every area of your life. And so you're going through this kind of process of clearing these things for yourself too, which is really fun and neat and wonderful to see. And then we teach you how to clear blocks between relationships, between people, which really helps practitioners with the people, with their clients and patients. So I'm sure that somewhere along the line, you've had a client where you've been like, I just don't connect with that person. And it's not that the person's bad, we just describe it. Your energy is just like, it doesn't mesh.
Sure.
We actually teach you how to adjust that so you do mesh, and it makes a tremendous difference in terms of, one, your retention rates, but two, your efficacy, because when they can mesh with you, they'll actually listen with an open heart and open ears, and they're going to take in what you say and really go with it instead of just being resistant. And that's what it is. We talk about it. I know you have a teenager too, that it's the teenager syndrome. It doesn't matter how nice I'm being at times, and I have the most amazing teenage daughters, but how nice I'm being and how generous and whatever it is comes from my heart. Sometimes they just see it as mom is being evil and everything she's saying is bad. And that's not the case, but it's that perception because we're just not lining up. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really valuable. And, I completely agree with that. I think practitioners are humans. So showing up and doing our own work is part of the journey. And then that's a really interesting thought, that I haven't really thought about before, that working on the resonance between you and your clients makes a huge difference as well. So
yeah, it does. Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't finish telling you about the class.
Yeah.
But it starts next Wednesday. It's 6 p.m. Central Time for 2 to 2.5 hours. It'll be almost every Wednesday. So there's one Wednesday in the middle that I'm at a conference, so I can't do it. So it'll be a couple Wednesdays, then a break, and then the remaining 4 Wednesdays. So it goes over a 7-week period. And then after the last class, there is an optional in-person an optional in-person full-day workshop in Houston. And, a lot of people need to do hands-on, I know I do. That's how I learn, but it's all virtual every session up until then. And then what we've done for the people who can't come in person is we set it up and they can actually observe that in-person session and be a part of it, but not be physically there. So it comes with, all kinds of materials that we teach you how to work with as you're going through the process. But we have people that start using it after the third week with their clients. They're not certified. They can certainly use it, but the certificate, then they have the option to, for free, take a test to become certified. And with that, you get to be listed in our database, our certified practitioners, and get, hopefully some people who are looking for mind, body, spirit release, maybe can be, they can connect with them. But this can be done virtually or in person.
Okay, great.
So that's a huge, plus for all of us that work sometimes or maybe even all the time from home. And then there's a level 2 when you get into limiting beliefs, and it's a whole, you can look at it on the website, but level 2 goes into a lot deeper stuff and teaches you some more techniques. And then level 3 goes into like spiritual blocks. We call them spiritual blocks or generational blocks, because you can be born with, a generational
traumas,
and
things
generational
like that.
traumas. So we go into how to clear those as well. So it's, it's just all builds on each other, but even level 1 itself can be transformative for people's practices and working with their clients.
Well, thank you so much. This is really exciting, and we're going to share it with our community of practitioners. And I really appreciate the work you've done to develop this. And thanks so much for coming to share it with us today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate all that you've done. You're doing amazing stuff, Jessica. It's just been thrilling to see how many people you're helping.
Thanks so much. All right. Well, great to see you, and we'll see you soon,
Likewise.
Tracy.
Okay, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.